while, really would slow it down and keep right on, just think that or nothing. Now, he appears to be having some difficulty getting that vehicle in reverse, and that could have very well been caused as a result of the tremendous shaking that car went through. It was now coming up for the final. We both won our semi-final rounds, and the race is coming up, and my car had not been in the fives all day, running like 605, 606, and it just felt sluggish. And I kept asking my crew, was there a lot of clutch dust coming out of it? Did it look like it was moving good? Oh, no, it's fine. The dust is just right. It's the motor. It's not making any power. You got to make more power. And I had my regular tune-up on it. It should have been doing good unless the blower just wasn't any good, but the plugs were reading good. Everything was looking good, you know. And Shirley had a 585 for her semi-final round. I was 606, and there was a good lane and a bad lane. And so naturally she was going to take the good lane. And we're getting ready to go, just buttoning everything up. This drunk stumbles into my pit and says, "Big Daddy, how you doing?" I said, "Well, not too good right now. Looks like I'm fixing to get waxed by the lady, you know." And I said, "Maybe she'll red light or something and I'll win by default." He said, "Well, why don't you put a little clutch in it?" He says, "The damn dust is coming out of it now. I'm at the halfway mark and it's still just billowing out the clutch disc." He says, "Well, you're going to throw the clutch out of it if you keep running it like this." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm at the half track. It's still dusting right there." So I told Ron Barrow, I said, get the cover off this thing." Barrow says, if we put in clutch this thing, it's going to spin the tires. He says, "I see a little blue smoke coming off the bottom of the tires at the starting line now." I said, "Barrow, I'd rather go up and smoke than get outrun by the lady." I said, "We're putting some clutch in." So I pulled the cover off, and I threw about 4 washers on each one of the arms, threw it back in there. Zap, 5.75 out of the bad lane. Oh, wow. I think, one of the things that to me has been the unique part of your career is that there seem to have been those times and places. And of course, your memory gets kind of clouded as your years advance, but more often than not, I have seen you come into a race and almost arbitrarily, if it was a 2-lane race, good lane, pick the bad lane and win it. How does that happen? Well, I didn't pick it. A lot of times it was the good lane, and I was choosing it other people didn't like. But sometimes I've been put in the bad lane. I've won a lot of races out of the bad lane of a 1-lane racetrack, and we got a guy right on the grounds here that'll attest to that, Don Ewell. I won the World Championships in 1975 because of a mistake that he made in the good lane. He had lane choice. He had me covered. I went up and smoked, and he was down course, just motored away. Drove over and touched the center line and was disqualified. And that was the 400 points that won the race for me in Ontario against Gary Beck. Oh, wow. I mean, I owe him. I guess big time. One of the things that I think that maybe helped you, and I'd like to spend just a minute or two talking with you about this, is the fact that week in and week out, you decided that you were going to go fast under what must have been some unusual and bizarre conditions. And even before there were computers, you were one of the guys that kept a very thorough book on engine tune, tire pressure, barometric pressure, temperature, all of the variables. And when you get to a track where things aren't ideal and the weather changes like it does on a day like today, does looking back in that book really provide that much help? Oh, it was a great help, and especially when you got to the track where you had won. I ran a lot of tracks year after year, and I had all the records from that track, and I would immediately refer to that track, because usually you ran about the same time of year. You got hired in, say in April to run Podunk, and you was still there again year after, because it usually was successful. And so I had those records to go on, and then you correlate all that information together, and you begin to get a feel for it, what the car needs in certain conditions. And it was a big help. It wasn't as good as a computer, but it was certainly a step in the right direction.